Explorers! Welcome back to another week of Art with Julie. I hope you enjoyed last week's video of making transient mandala art. This week I'm going to show you one of my another favorite art activity. I love them all. But this is an especially favorite one. I'm going to show you how to make a photo transfer to wood. The outcome of it, like the final product, is so beautiful, and it's a lot easier to make than it seems like. So first I'm going to show you the materials you need. So you're going to need some wood. So I'm using, these are like pre-cut sliced pieces of wood. It has a little hole if you want to tie a string to hang it. I just had some of these around the house, so I'm going to use it, but you could use any type of wood. You also could transfer to rocks. It's a little bit harder, but piece of wood, whatever piece of wood you have. And then you need a printed photo. But I'm actually going to use that one last because I have to explain that a little bit better. So, wood, paintbrush of some sort, Mod Podge. So I have the gloss one, but you can use the matte one too. And then you need your printed photo on a piece of printer paper. So I'm going to transfer the Horizon logo onto my piece of wood. So when you print this photo, there's two things you can do. It either needs to be printed on a laser printer, so you'd have to check if you have a laser printer to print it, or if you just have a regular printer, and it can be in black and white too, a regular printer, what you're going to do is take glue, and let's just pretend I didn't print anything on this paper. So you're going to take glue, and you're going to put glue in the spot that you are going to print the photo. So I think you can kind of see, I just put glue here. And it's going to dry. So once that glue dries, then you print your photo on it. And it makes it kind of like as if you were printing the photo on the laser printer, if that makes sense. So you either print it on a laser printer, or you paint you paint glue on a regular piece of paper and then put that in the printer once it's dry. It has to be dry. Don't put wet glue in the printer. But once it's dry, you can put it through, and it will make sure the photo is the right quality to be transferred to the wood. And if you have any questions about that, you can just comment on this video, and I can explain a little better how to do that. You also can try to just print it on regular paper and see if that works. Sometimes it does. It just, the ink stays a lot better on the wood if you print it on a laser printer. Okay, so there's going to have to be two parts of this because I'm going to have to do the first part and then let it dry to do the second part. So let's do the first part. So you're going to take your wood and your Mod Podge, your paintbrush, and your printed picture. I'm going to rip my paper to get the printed picture the size I want it. I almost just ripped it in half. So I'm just going to rip around the photo. And if you're printing a picture with words, you have to flip the photo. So this looks the right way for you guys, but for me it's backwards. So, because when you put it on, it prints the opposite direction. So if you're using words, make sure you flip your photo so the words are printed backwards, essentially. So, I ripped my picture. I'm going to see if it fits on my wood, and it does. I'm going to rip a little bit off this corner. So, and anything that doesn't have anything printed on it will turn clear when you do this. So, there's my little I ripped a little bit here, oops. So, that's that. And then you're going to take your Mod Podge. Mod Podge is very sticky sometimes. And it does dry clear, but mine comes out looking like glue. So, you're going to take your Mod Podge, and you are going to paint the wood where you're sticking the photo. So, I'm just going to put a nice layer of Mod Podge on there. So, there's it's kind of bright in here. My Mod Podge. You want to make sure you put enough, but you don't want to put like too much that it's all goopy and wet, not goopy. So we've got our Mod Podge, and I've got my photo. So you want the photo side to go down on the wood. So I'm gonna I'm actually gonna rip this a little more so I can keep my hole so I can hang it up. Okay, so you got your Mod Podge, you got your photo, and you're going to stick the photo where you want it. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. So, like that. And I put a lot of extra Mod Podge on the side. I didn't really need to do that. And then you are going to flatten it. You can use like a card if you want to do this, or just your finger. Finger works. Just flatten it down so it sticks really well, get all the bubbles out. And you want to try to not get Mod Podge on this side. We want this to just be the paper. We don't want Mod Podge on this side because we need to do something later so that we can see the transfer. So your final product should look like this. You shouldn't be able to see the photo once you put it on. You're going to flatten it, and then we leave it to dry. So typically, you're supposed to let it dry for 24 hours. I usually don't like waiting that long, so sometimes I'll hair dry it, or it's been really hot outside, you could stick it outside and see if it dries pretty fast, but you just want to make sure that the entire thing is dry before we go to the next step. So set your work in progress somewhere that it can dry, and then check in later to see how to create the final product. Hey Captains and Explorers, I hope your Mod Podge piece has dried at this point. If it hasn't, make sure that you give it time to dry because we definitely want to dry before we do this next step. I hope mine's dry. I guess we'll find out when we do it. So what you're going to need for this next part is your piece of wood with your dried Mod Podge and paper on it. You're going to need a little bowl or something to put water in. So I'm just going to use this. Then I have a cup of water I'm just going to pour into the bowl. So this part, I'm going to try to show you like this. It's hard to hold it and do it. So you're going to dip your finger in the water. And you're going to get the paper wet and you are going to rub it. And you can start to see the picture underneath. So you're going to rub it, and you want to rub gently. It's going to start rolling off. You don't want to rub too hard that it rips it or it takes the image off underneath. So see how I'm just rubbing? If the image underneath is ripping, you're either putting too much water on it or it's not dry yet. So maybe take a break and see if it dries a little better. I'm just going to keep rubbing. I really only do a tiny bit of water at a time, and it really just rubs right off. I rub until there's no water and no rubbing happening, like nothing's rubbing off. You can also just kind of peel off a little bit of the paper too if you need to. Just going to rub a little more. I want to make sure you guys can see the final product for this. I'm making a mess of small pieces of paper all over my desk, but this is totally worth it. It's a really cool activity to do. You can do it with like photographs. That's one of my favorite things to do. And you can do it on wood. I'm trying to think what else. I have transferred photos to canvases. You can transfer to a canvas, which is really awesome. We make really nice gifts or really nice wall decorations. Okay, so mine is almost done. Just gotta get off. I did a fairly small one just so I could give you an example. So I'm gonna get all this extra paper off. Make sure there's no, and sometimes you have to let it dry for a second and then the paper will dry and suddenly you'll see more you need to peel off because it kind of disappears when it's wet. Okay, do a little more. Rub, 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 and I think I still need a little more water. Hold on 1 second for me to get that off. Just want to make sure that it doesn't have extra paper just on top of the thing. You also could like wipe it at the end, like with like a towel. I'm actually just gonna wipe it on my shirt, just to get those little extra pieces of paper off. Okay, so now my words are backwards to you, but they're forward to me. So that's what it looks like. I transferred that whole thing onto there. I could have painted the wood so that you didn't see the circles, but I kind of like the way it looks. I'm actually going to do one more step and take the Mod Podge again, and hopefully my brush didn't harden while I was sitting. Brushes with Mod Podge on them dry super fast. Okay, so brush, get some Mod Podge, and just so that it has it's protected and it has a little shiny cover, I'm just going to do a layer of Mod Podge over top of it to make sure it's like fully sealed and nice and shiny, just a nice little thin layer. So that's what it kind of looks not as clear right now, but it's going to dry super shiny, and then there you have it. That is a wood transfer, or a photo wood transfer, I guess. But I'd love to see what you create with this activity, and so please share your photos, and if you have any questions, comment down below. I'll be happy to answer them. It is a little bit complicated, but definitely try a few different techniques, and if it rips the first time, it is okay. You can always try again. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait to see your final products.